it's made me realize how much the occult controllers really have a hold on people and totally have people's minds, you know. Even more so than I thought. Even more so than I thought that they had. And seeing where they have people, it's a terrible, terrible thing. You know, I knew that they had people under mind control, but this even made me realize they have people way deeper in their control than I even ever thought. And that's a terrible thing for me to say, because I knew how bad it was to a certain extent, but this made me realize even people who claim to be awake and claim to understand what's going on, most of them have no fucking idea what's going on whatsoever. And really, you know, as soon as any type of crisis or situation that strikes fear into their heart has you know, come into their consciousness, they fold their cards immediately. And that's not what this is about. That's not what it ever should have been about. I'm so disappointed in people. I'm so disappointed in where most people's minds are at when it comes to principles versus what they consider pragmatic situations. You never fold your principles. Ever. Ever. Principles come first. And you have to be an extremist regarding principles. Because if you don't have principles, you have nothing. You have nothing. And people don't understand that. They don't understand principles come before everything else, including life. Freedom comes before everything else, including life. It isn't life, freedom, property. Life, liberty, property. It's freedom, life, property. That's the correct order, ladies and gentlemen. Because, let me explain why that's the case. If there's any absolute hardcore message in this little video, this is it. Freedom comes before life itself. Anybody who's afraid of any of this crap that's going on, any of this crap that's being sold to us, regardless of what you want to think it is, I'm not even going to get into all of that right now. I'll talk about that when I come back on the air. Okay? If you put even life before freedom, you have the answer incorrect. You have the order incorrect. It's freedom comes before life, and here's why. Life without freedom isn't worth living, because life without freedom is slavery. And that's what most of the people who even claim that they are people in the freedom movement, that they are people who are trying to advocate for freedom and are in the movement for more freedom and less control and less government, still do not understand. You have to shed your fear of death. The fear of death is the beginning of slavery. Life in slavery is not worth living. That's why freedom, the principle of freedom, comes before life itself. Most people don't understand that concept. Most people are so fearful and attached to life that they would give up freedom to have safety. And I'm telling you, no amount of safety is worth the loss of freedom. No amount of even health is worth the loss of freedom. Dangerous, unhealthy freedom is still more important than a life where you are perfectly safe and perfectly healthy and enslaved. That's an extreme understanding of freedom that most people still don't have, and that's the problem, is that most people still don't have that understanding of freedom. Freedom is more important than health. Freedom is more important than safety. Freedom is more important than any other principle. Because if you don't have freedom, life is not worth living, because you are a slave and you are enslaved if you don't have freedom. And this is what people in the so-called freedom movement still don't understand, because as soon as some crisis comes down that threatens their safety or health, they're immediately willing to sacrifice their freedom in the name of safety or health. And I'm telling you, you have to be willing to die. You have to be, not only you have to be willing to die, you need to have such a deep understanding of freedom, and such a healthy respect for freedom itself, for the principles that underlie freedom, that you would have the mindset that you would be willing to literally sacrifice the life of everyone in the name of freedom. That if you said, if freedom is going away, that would not be worth every life on the planet Earth. If you don't have that level of understanding of freedom, you don't understand what it means. And I'll look at each and every one of you right in the eyes and tell you that right to your face. And anybody that doesn't have that understanding of freedom, you're no friend of mine. Get that through your head. Understand that and really deeply process what I've said there. Because if you don't understand that level of freedom, you haven't understood one fucking thing I've said since day one on what on earth is happening. Not a fucking thing. That's what it means to understand true freedom, ladies and gentlemen. That freedom comes before life. That's what the phrase liberty or death means. Liberty or death, freedom or death. It doesn't matter how you want to word it. Okay? Freedom has to come before life itself.